The stars above Earth looked peaceful that night. The moon shone softly, cities glowed below, and the oceans reflected the calm of a sleeping world. People went about their quiet lives, laughing, dreaming, loving, never imagining that their sky was about to open like a wound. Then, without warning, the heavens tore apart. Hundreds of lights appeared beyond the moon, sharp and cold like silver daggers in the dark. They were not stars. They moved too quickly, too perfectly. The first astronomers who saw them thought they were comets, but within minutes telescopes around the world confirmed the truth. Ships. Gigantic ships, alien ships. They came in silence at first, but soon the silence turned into fear. Power grids flickered. Satellites fell dead. Communication lines broke. The global network screamed with confusion as the first message arrived, not in words but as symbols burned into every screen, in every language, across every continent. We are the Arcran Dominion. Surrender your planet. Resistance is pointless. The world stopped. Governments tried to respond, but there was no reply channel. No negotiations. No second message. Only the endless shadow of their fleet covering the stars. People gathered in the streets, watching streaks of light descend through the atmosphere. Not shooting stars, but landing craft. In the first hour, the Arcrans destroyed Earth's defense satellites with a single wave of energy. In the second, they silenced every military base that tried to fight. Earth had no chance. The invaders called humanity primitive. Their broadcasts mocked human civilization, the art, the music, the fragile peace they had built. A child species, they said, not worthy of the stars. And yet, hidden deep beneath that peaceful world, something ancient heard those words. Beneath the Pacific Ocean, under black layers of stone and forgotten steel, a massive machine slept. Its surface was covered with barnacles and coral, its metal bones older than any living memory. But inside, a faint heartbeat pulsed, slow, steady, waiting. When the alien attack began, sensors that had been quiet for centuries flickered to life. Rusted panels lit up. Ancient lights blinked and rose like awakening eyes. A voice spoke inside the darkness, cold, mechanical, but filled with purpose. Alert. Threat detected. Planetary Defense Protocol Omega Earth initiated. Miles away in a small undersea research station, scientists noticed a strange vibration in the ocean floor. The readings made no sense. Magnetic surges, seismic tremors, impossible energy levels. Dr. Lena Torres stared at the monitor, her hands trembling. "This isn't an earthquake," she whispered. "Something is waking up." As the alien fleet surrounded Earth, humanity's hope dimmed. The United Earth Council gathered in emergency meetings, but no plan could stop an enemy with such overwhelming power. The skies were filled with fire, the moon turned red with explosions, and still, somewhere in the dark, the machine beneath the sea began to move. Metal walls groaned as centuries of pressure cracked away. Giant locks disengaged one by one. The ocean roared, waves rising higher as something vast pushed upward from the abyss. Fishermen hundreds of miles away saw the water bulge like a mountain rising. Then came the first glimpse. Black metal, ancient yet shining with strange blue light. The creature of steel was not an alien. It was human. The world watched in awe as the USS Leviathan broke through the surface. A ship so enormous it made aircraft carriers look like toys. Water poured from its hull as it rose, the ocean trembling around it. Along its side, half-erased golden letters glowed faintly in the rain. For Earth. For humanity. Dr. Torres fell to her knees in disbelief. "It's real," she whispered. The legends were true. The old warships. Hundreds of years ago, humanity had built fleets to defend the solar system. But after the Great Collapse, the war that nearly ended everything, those ships were sealed, hidden in vaults beneath the Earth's crust and oceans. Humanity had vowed never to awaken them again. But now, with alien fire raining from the sky, the past refused to stay buried. The Leviathan's engines came alive with a thunderous roar that shook the planet. Blue light radiated from its core, scattering storm clouds above. The ship rose higher, standing between Earth and the invading fleet like a guardian reborn. People across the globe stopped running. They looked up at their screens, at the sky, at the miracle unfolding before their eyes. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity felt something stronger than fear, hope, and above the clouds, the alien commanders watched with disbelief as their scanners detected energy readings far beyond their understanding. "What is that?" one of them demanded. A quiet voice in their translation system replied, "That is human history." The stars themselves seemed to tremble as Earth's ancient heart began to beat again. The whole planet watched as the giant ship, the USS Leviathan, stood like a mountain rising from the sea. Lightning cracked around it and the ocean boiled beneath its massive hull. People didn't understand what they were seeing. It wasn't new technology. It wasn't a secret weapon. It was something ancient, something built by human hands long ago when humanity still ruled the stars. In an underground command center, Dr. Lena Torres stared at the live feed. Her voice shook as she spoke. It's from the Archage." General Marcus Venn, standing beside her, frowned. "That's impossible. Those ships were myths. Nothing from that era survived." Lena turned to him, her eyes wide. "It survived. And it's waking up." The alien fleet above Earth was moving fast now. Dozens of silver warships formed an attack formation around the planet, preparing to strike again. But their scanners were confused. They picked up strange energy surges all over Earth, massive power readings coming from beneath oceans, deserts, even mountains. What they didn't know was that Leviathan was not alone. Hidden deep across the world were more of these ancient ships, humanity's last guardians, forgotten and buried centuries ago. They were part of a fleet once known as the Iron Ark, built in the age when Earth had colonies on Mars, Titan, and Europa. Those ships had fought wars among the stars before humanity destroyed itself in the Great Collapse. After that, all remaining vessels were sealed away under a promise. Never again would Earth awaken them unless extinction was near. That time had come. The sea around the Leviathan glowed blue as massive engines powered up. The air rippled from its energy. Every system that had been silent for hundreds of years now hummed to life. Inside the ship, metallic corridors lit up. Screens blinked, machinery turned, and old AIs, artificial minds older than any living human, began to speak again. Core power at 68%. Reactor stable. Crew memory banks active. Command unit operational. In the bridge, a hologram flickered into existence. The face of a man, stern and calm, dressed in an old Earth uniform. His name was Captain Elias Ward, commander of the Leviathan centuries ago. His mind had been preserved in digital form, a guardian spirit of the ship. He opened his eyes for the first time in 300 years. "Status report," he said softly, his voice echoing through the empty halls. The ship responded. Enemy presence detected in Earth orbit. Hostile fleet superior in number. Planetary defense systems destroyed. "Awaiting your command." Captain Ward turned toward the holographic window showing Earth, his home, burning under alien fire. He clenched his digital fist. "Then let's remind them who built the stars." Meanwhile, chaos reigned in orbit. The Arcran fleet continued their assault, but their ships began to experience system errors. Strange interference disrupted their scanners. Their generals demanded answers. "What is causing this?" "Unknown energy signatures from the planet's surface," one officer replied. "It matches no known human technology." In the deep deserts of Africa, sandstorms roared as something massive began to rise beneath them. A gigantic circular gate once buried under centuries of dust opened. From it emerged another warship, the USS Vanguard, its surface covered in golden armor. Across the Arctic, ice cracked and mountains split apart as a third vessel, The USS Erebus powered up, releasing waves of frozen mist. All across the world, the past was awakening. The sky filled with thunder and light as the Iron Arc fleet prepared for battle. Each ship carried the consciousness of its original crew, soldiers and scientists who had died long ago, their minds preserved as digital souls. They were no longer human, but they still remembered love, loyalty, and home. On Earth's surface, people looked up at the sky filled with clouds that glowed from the energy of their awakening. For the first time, humanity saw its forgotten legacy, the proof that their ancestors were not weak dreamers, but warriors who had once touched the stars. Dr. Torres whispered, tears in her eyes. They built these ships to protect us, and now they've come back to finish their duty. High above, the alien commander, Raylac, stared at the readings. Ancient human vessels, he scoffed. They cannot possibly be functional. Yet even as he spoke, one of his warships vanished from the radar, then another. On the edge of the atmosphere, Leviathan moved. Slowly, steadily it rose through the clouds, and for the first time in centuries its massive cannons aligned toward the stars. Target locked, said the ship's AI. Captain Ward looked up. For Earth. A beam of pure light shot from Leviathan's core, silent, unstoppable. It tore through the darkness and struck an Arcran cruiser head-on. The alien ship exploded instantly, its debris scattering like ashes in the wind. Across the alien fleet, panic spread. The invaders had come expecting an easy victory but instead, they had awakened the ghosts of humanity's greatest warriors, and the ghosts were angry. As the sky burned with the light of battle, Captain Ward's hologram looked toward the blue planet below. His voice, filled with pride and sorrow, whispered through the ship's speakers, "We may be relics of the past, but we were built for this day." The world trembled. Humanity had remembered its strength, and the galaxy was about to learn, once again, why the stars still whispered the name of Earth with fear. The world was holding its breath. Across every continent, people watched the sky, seeing flashes of light dance above the clouds. Silent battles fought in the upper atmosphere. No one spoke. No one moved. The sight was too unreal, too impossible. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of the stars. But tonight the stars were at war, and Earth was part of it once again. The USS Leviathan hovered like a god of steel above the ocean, its engines glowing with a deep blue pulse that rippled across the waves. On-board ancient systems hummed. The voice of Captain Elias Ward, or what remained of him, echoed through the ship's massive halls. Fleet signal check. All ARC units respond. From the cold edges of the world, faint responses came back. Distant, tired, but alive. USS Vanguard online. Weapons charging? USS Erebus reporting. Systems stable. ARC 13 and ARC 17, awakening. One by one, the Iron Arc fleet came to life. Humanity's ancient guardians, sleeping for centuries, were awakening to defend their home once more. Dr. Lena Torres stood in the Global Command Center, eyes fixed on the radar map lighting up with dozens of new energy signatures. "They're everywhere," she whispered. "Under mountains, under oceans, and they were hidden all this time." General Marcus Venn leaned forward. "How many ships are we talking about?" Lena exhaled. "At least 40 confirmed. Maybe more." The room fell silent. Humanity had forgotten how powerful it once was. Above Earth, the alien commander Raylac watched with growing unease. His warships were powerful, his army countless, but the readings made no sense. These human vessels, their design was primitive, their construction ancient. Yet their energy output was beyond anything the Arcran Dominion had ever recorded. "Scan again," Raylac ordered. This must be an illusion. But it was no illusion. The first battle began when 3 alien cruisers approached the Leviathan. Their plasma cannons glowed green, charging for a full power strike. But the ancient ship didn't move, it waited. Like a lion letting the prey make the first mistake. The alien weapons fired. Beams of light crossed the atmosphere, striking Leviathan's hull. But instead of burning through, the energy dispersed across shimmering shields, leaving only ripples in the air. "Shield stable," the ship's AI reported calmly. Captain Ward smiled faintly. "Return fire." The Leviathan's main cannon charged, light gathering into a single brilliant core. When it fired, the ocean below split in two. The beam sliced through the first alien cruiser instantly. The second tried to dodge but was caught in the explosion. The third ship fled, engines screaming, only to be struck by a follow-up barrage from the USS Vanguard, rising from the Sahara like a phoenix made of gold. In 1 minute, 3 alien ships, each capable of destroying a continent, were gone. The people of Earth saw it all. Across every screen, news broadcasted the impossible sight. Ancient human ships standing against a galactic fleet and winning. Cheers erupted in cities. Tears fell in quiet homes. Children pointed at the sky and shouted, "That's us! That's Earth!" For the first time since the invasion began, humanity didn't feel small. Meanwhile, deep inside Leviathan's core chamber, a silent process began. Hidden data archives unlocked. Holograms flickered on, showing the faces of long-dead crew members, men and women who had once served on the ship. Their digital minds awoke, confused but determined. "Status?" asked one hologram, adjusting his cap. "Same as before," Captain Ward replied. "Only this time the enemy is not our own." The crew nodded solemnly. These weren't ghosts in the tragic sense. They were memories given life, bound to the ship's systems. Echoes of a time when humanity's reach had extended beyond the solar system. They remembered the wars, the losses, and the final promise. If Earth ever calls again, we will rise, and now they had. The alien commander Relak roared in anger. "Fools, destroy them all!" Hundreds of Arcran vessels repositioned, surrounding the Leviathan from every side. The sky turned green with plasma fire. The bombardment was merciless, a storm of destruction. But humanity's ancient fleet fought like a living wall. The Vanguard intercepted missiles with laser barrages. The Erebus, built for deep space warfare, bent light itself, creating illusions that confused enemy sensors. The Leviathan, standing in the center, absorbed attack after attack, its shields glowing brighter instead of weaker. Inside the ship, the AI's voice remained calm. "Captain, energy reserves at 80%. Suggest offensive action," Ward grinned. "Let's give them a proper welcome to Earth." The Leviathan's side panels opened, revealing long-forgotten weapons, rail cannons the size of skyscrapers, plasma turrets older than any modern design, and orbital launch bays containing autonomous drones shaped like metallic birds. When they fired, the night sky became day. Alien ships exploded in waves. The ocean lit up like liquid fire. The sound echoed for miles like thunder mixed with steel. In the command center, Dr. Torres covered her mouth, trembling with emotion. "They're fighting for us," she whispered. "They're protecting us like they always meant to." General Venn nodded slowly, eyes wet. "They're not just machines. They're soldiers, our ancestors." As the last alien cruiser in orbit retreated, the Leviathan held its position, scarred but standing. Smoke rose from its armor. Lights flickered, but its engine still burned blue. Captain Ward looked down at Earth, the home he once swore to protect, now filled with new generations who didn't even know his name. "We kept our promise," he said softly. "The first awakening is complete." But deep beneath Mars, far away from the battle, another signal stirred. Old, ancient, human. Something else was waking, something even older than the Leviathan fleet. And when it rose, the stars themselves would tremble. The sky above Earth had turned into a sea of fire. From the ground, people could see flashes of light streaking across the clouds. Not lightning, but weapons. Every burst painted the heavens in white and red. It was no longer just a battle between ships. It was a clash between ages, the proud technology of an ancient humanity against the arrogance of a galactic empire that thought this blue planet was defenseless. The USS Leviathan hung over the Pacific like a guardian spirit. Below, the waves rose high, drawn upward by the force of its engines. Above, the alien fleet formed a wall of silver ships stretching across the horizon. Each Arcran cruiser was larger than a city block, armed with cannons that could vaporize continents. Yet they hesitated. They had seen what these human relics could do. Inside the Leviathan's bridge, Captain Elias Ward studied the tactical display. Hundreds of red dots, enemy signatures, surrounded his fleet. His eyes were calm, though his voice carried a quiet edge. "They outnumber us 20-1, the AI informed him. "They always did," he replied. Across the desert skies, the USS Vanguard glided through the air like a glowing spear of gold. Its old hull shimmered with energy shields older than most planets' civilizations. Commander Risa Kane, another preserved soul from the Arc-Age, stood on its bridge. "We were made for war," she said softly, her digital eyes burning. "Let them come." On the other side of the world, the USS Erebus rose from the Arctic ice, leaving behind a trail of frozen mist. Its captain, the AI of a woman named Unisol, activated stealth drives that bent light itself. "Ghost protocol engaged," she whispered. "Let's haunt the stars." 3 ships, each older than the nations that now covered Earth, stood ready. The Iron Arc fleet was awake. In orbit, the Arcran commander, Relak, paced within his throne-like control chamber. His scaled hands trembled with rage. "They are relics. They are impossible. Crush them." His generals obeyed. Orders spread through the alien armada. 1,000 plasma cannons charged at once, turning the darkness of space into a blinding green glow. Then the storm began. The alien fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts the size of meteors rained down upon the Leviathan. The explosions shook the ocean's boiling water into steam. Whole waves of fire rolled across the sky. For a moment it looked as if Earth itself would crack apart. But when the light faded, the Leviathan still stood. Its shields flickered, cracked, and then reformed, glowing brighter than before. Energy surged through its hull like veins of lightning. "Damage contained," the AI reported. "Good," Ward said. "Now our turn." Leviathan's rail cannons fired. Each projectile was a spear of tungsten wrapped in magnetic energy, traveling faster than sound. When they hit, alien ships shattered like glass. At the same time, the Vanguard dove through the alien ranks, weaving between explosions. Its wings unfolded, releasing swarms of autonomous drones, small, sharp, and merciless. They cut through enemy hulls like knives through paper. The Erebus, invisible to scanners, struck from behind, delivering silent death with every shot. It was not just a battle. It was art. The art of survival that only humans could master. On the ground, people watched through satellites and live feeds. The entire planet was united by one emotion: pride. Farmers, soldiers, children, and elders all looked upward with tears in their eyes. "We thought we were weak," one old man said, watching from his farmhouse. "But look at us now," the alien commander screamed in fury. "They cannot win. We are the Dominion." But fear had already crept into the hearts of his soldiers. Their ships were falling faster than they could count. For every human vessel destroyed, 10 of theirs turned to dust. Then, from deep space, Relak unleashed his final weapon, the Dread Star, a warship the size of a moon. Its core was a living sun, burning with stolen energy. It entered Earth's orbit like a second dawn. The Dread Star aimed its main cannon toward Earth's surface. One shot could end the planet. Captain Ward saw the readings. His AI's tone became urgent. "That weapon will destroy everything. We cannot intercept in time." Ward looked down at the planet, his, home, and then at the fleet. "Then we make time." He sent one final command through the fleet's network: "All ships, converge on me." The Vanguard and Erebus obeyed instantly. They moved beside Leviathan, wings and hulls touching, linking their power cores together. Energy flowed through them, brighter and brighter, until their combined glow outshone the sun. From the surface, It looked like 3 stars had merged into one. "Captain," said Unisol quietly. "This could destroy us," Ward smiled faintly. "Then let it. Humanity will live." The Dread Star fired. The beam cut across space, a river of death. But before it could hit Earth, the Leviathan moved forward, dragging the other ships with it. Together they met the beam head-on. The explosion that followed blinded half the sky. For a moment all was silent. The clouds turned white. Oceans roared. Mountains shook, and then when the light cleared, the Dread Star was gone, torn apart. The Leviathan floated alone now, its hull broken, fire spilling from its sides. Its voice, weak but steady, echoed across every channel on Earth. "We stand still." In the alien flagship, Raylak fell to his knees. Around him, the remaining ships began to flee, engines burning bright as they ran from the world they had once mocked. Humanity had survived. On Earth, people wept openly. They didn't know how many of the ancient ships remained or if Leviathan would ever rise again. But they knew one thing: their ancestors had fought for them, and their spirit had returned. As dawn rose, the clouds cleared, and a single broken shadow drifted across the sky. The Leviathan, glowing faintly in the morning sun. The Battle of Eras had ended, and humanity had won. The battle was over, but the sky still burned. Smoke hung over the oceans like gray mist, and pieces of alien metal rained down through the clouds. Some fell into the sea, others landed in empty fields and deserts, glowing faintly before sinking into the ground. For the people of Earth, it was both terrifying and beautiful, proof that the invaders had truly been defeated. But victory came with silence. High above, the USS Leviathan drifted alone in orbit. Its once shining armor was cracked and blackened. Whole sections of the ship were gone, torn away by the Dread Star's blast. Inside its massive frame, flickers of blue light still pulsed, the last breaths of a dying giant. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, his holographic form dim and unstable. Pieces of data shimmered around him like falling snow. His crew, made of light and memory, stood silently at their stations. None spoke. None needed to. They had seen the stars burn and lived to see the dawn. Core systems failing, the AI reported softly. "I know," Ward answered. "Hold the orbit as long as we can. The people need to see us." Down on Earth, the world watched in awe. Every screen, every device, every satellite pointed upward at the wounded Leviathan. The ship looked like a ghost against the sun, broken, silent, but still standing guard. In the Global Command Center, Dr. Lena Torres wiped her eyes. "They're still there," she whispered. "They saved us all." General Marcus Venn stood beside her, his voice thick. "Those ships, they were built by our ancestors, weren't they? Humans like us," Lena nodded slowly. "Yes, they were human. And they never forgot who they were fighting for." For days, humanity celebrated and mourned at the same time. Cities that had once been filled with fear now sang with pride. Statues were built. Songs were written. Children pointed to the sky and said, "That's where the heroes sleep." But inside Leviathan, the heroes were fading. One by one, the digital souls of the old crew began to dissolve, their memory patterns collapsing as the ship's power drained. Commander Unisol's voice, faint and tired, came through the intercom. "Captain, Erebus has lost all contact. We gave everything." Ward closed his eyes. "You did well, Una, we all did. Do you think they'll remember us?" she asked quietly. Ward smiled. "They already do." Her signal flickered and was gone. The bridge grew colder. Only a few lights remained. On the surface, Dr. Torres worked tirelessly with her team to establish a communication link. She believed they could still reach the Leviathan before it was too late. "We owe them more than memories," she said. "We owe them life." Her team struggled day and night. Old files were found, blueprints from the Arc Age. Some of the technology was far beyond their understanding, but hope gave them strength. Finally, a signal broke through. A single voice echoed from the deep orbit. "This is Captain Ward of the Leviathan. Earth is safe." Lena's heart leaped. "Captain! We can help you. We can bring you down safely." There was a pause, long, heavy, filled with static. Then came his soft reply, "No, this is where we belong. We are part of the sky now." Her eyes filled with tears. "You can't just fade away. Humanity needs you." Ward's voice grew quieter. "Humanity doesn't need us anymore. You've remembered who you are. That's enough." The transmission ended. Outside, the Leviathan began to drift toward the sun. Its engines flared one last time, guiding its broken body away from Earth. People everywhere watched the sight. A giant ship slowly gliding across the dawn, glowing brighter and brighter as it rose toward the light. No one spoke. Some saluted. Some prayed. Others simply stood in silence, feeling both proud and heartbroken. Dr. Torres whispered to herself, "He said they belong to the sky. Maybe he's right." The Leviathan continued to rise until its light blended with the sun's. Then, in one final burst, it disappeared, leaving behind only a faint shimmer. Like starlight trapped in daylight, weeks passed. The war was over. The world was healing. But deep within the ruins of old cities, something new was happening. People began digging, searching for other hidden vaults, other buried ships. Some found fragments of ancient alloys, half-buried engines or sealed chambers still humming with weak energy. It became a movement, a promise to continue what their ancestors had started. Humanity was no longer afraid of the stars. They were building again. In one quiet workshop near the coast, Dr. Torres stood beside a large metal hull covered in dust. She brushed her hand across it, revealing old words carved into the steel. For Earth, for humanity. She smiled through her tears. "Then we build again." Behind her, young engineers worked day and night, inspired by the sacrifice of the Iron Ark fleet. The memory of Leviathan became more than a story. It became the foundation of a new beginning. And though the great ship was gone, its echo lived on in every heartbeat of humankind. The stars had once been witnesses to humanity's fall. Now they would watch their rise. Years passed after the great battle. The skies of Earth were clear once again, no longer filled with fire and fear. Children played under a peaceful sun, and the stars above looked calm. But humanity had changed forever. The memory of the Iron Ark fleet and their sacrifice became a fire that burned inside every heart. What began as stories told in classrooms soon became missions written in laboratories and hangars. Scientists, soldiers, and dreamers worked side by side, trying to understand the ancient technology their ancestors had left behind. The ruins of the Leviathan and Erebus were gone, but fragments of their code, their metal, and their spirit remained. Dr. Lena Torres stood on the balcony of the New Geneva Space Research Complex, watching dozens of new starships take shape. The massive hangar below her glowed with energy. Sparks flew, machines hummed, and voices shouted in hope. She whispered softly, "We were never meant to stay silent on one planet." Behind her, General Marcus Venn walked up, older now, with silver in his beard. His eyes carried the same fire they had during the war. "You were right, Lena," he said quietly. "Their legacy woke us up." Lena smiled faintly. "It's not their legacy, Marcus. It's ours. They just reminded us of who we were." Across the world, humanity rebuilt not just their cities, but their will. Old nations forgot their rivalries. Flags were no longer symbols of borders, but of unity. Engineers from the East worked with scientists from the West. Former enemies now stood shoulder to shoulder under one symbol, a new blue emblem with a silver ring around it, representing Earth United Command. Every person knew why they worked so hard. They remembered how the aliens came, how the sky burned, and how ancient humans, long gone, had risen from beneath the sands to defend them. For the first time in thousands of years, humanity wasn't afraid of what was beyond the stars. They were curious again. One evening, deep inside the research base, Lena stood before a massive metal gate. Carved into it were the same ancient letters she had once seen on the Leviathan's data logs. Project Dawnfire. Her heart raced. This was the last vault, she whispered. With a soft hiss, the gate opened. Inside was a chamber filled with golden light, walls lined with holographic symbols and dormant machines. In the center stood a single capsule covered in dust and frost. Lena stepped closer and brushed her hand against the glass. Inside lay a man, or at least what looked like one. His body shimmered faintly, half human, half digital. His face was peaceful, his chest rising slowly like someone dreaming. Her voice trembled. "Captain Elias Ward." The sensors blinked to life. The man inside stirred, light flowing through his veins. A soft hum filled the air and a deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Identification, Earth Human Command." "Recognized," Lena gasped. "He's still alive." General Venn entered, eyes wide in disbelief. "That's impossible." He was lost when Leviathan burned. The capsule opened slowly, steam curling into the air. The man stepped out, his eyes glowing faintly blue. He looked around, confused but calm. "This is Earth?" Lena nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, Captain. It's the world you saved." Ward looked at the ceiling, at the holographic stars above, and smiled weakly. "You made it," he said softly. "You rebuilt." General Venn saluted him with pride. "We only followed your example, sir." Ward stepped closer, placing a hand over the general's. "No, you followed your hearts. That's what makes humans dangerous." Word of the captain's awakening spread across the planet. Billions watched as the once-forgotten guardian of Earth stood among them alive again. But Ward did not ask for fame or command. He asked only one thing. Don't let fear decide your path again. He walked through cities reborn, through workshops where children built small models of ships, through training halls where young cadets learned about the Iron Arc fleet. Everywhere he went, people cheered and cried, and in every heart he touched, something stirred, pride, courage, hope. Months later, a fleet of new ships stood ready on the launch pads. Sleek, silver, and glowing with blue engines, they were built not as weapons of war but as explorers. Vessels meant to reach beyond the solar system. Humanity was finally ready to step into the stars again. Captain Ward stood beside Lena as the countdown began. "Do you think they're still out there?" she asked, meaning the aliens who once invaded, or perhaps others like them. Ward looked up at the night sky, his voice steady. "Yes, and this time we'll meet them not as prey, but as equals." The engines roared. The ground shook. A new light filled the heavens as the ships rose, leaving trails of fire behind them. All across the planet, people watched, from mountaintops, beaches, and cities. Some wept, others shouted, but everyone understood what they were witnessing. Humanity's second dawn. As the last ship disappeared into the clouds, Lena whispered to herself, "They feared us once. Now they will know us." And high above, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if welcoming their lost children back home. The stars looked closer that night. From the dark side of the moon, humanity's new fleet stood in silence, waiting for the signal to begin their first deep space journey. Dozens of shining ships, the pride of Earth United Command, floated like silver lanterns above the gray surface. Each ship carried the name of an old hero: Leviathan II, Erebus II, Artemis, Titan's Hope, and more. At the heart of them all stood the Dawnfire, a colossal flagship built from ancient blueprints found in the ruins. It was the most advanced ship ever created, half old metal, half living code, a tribute to both the past and the future. Captain Elias Ward stood once more on a command bridge. The stars reflected in his calm eyes. This time his body was whole, restored through technology his own people barely understood. He was both human and something beyond, a bridge between eras. Dr. Lena Torres stood beside him, wearing the new insignia of the Explorer Corps. "Feels strange," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "To leave home after everything." Ward smiled softly. It always does. But Earth will be watching. And when humanity watches, it learns. Down on Earth, millions gathered across every city and continent. Giant screens showed the fleet glowing in the dark. Children waved flags. Old veterans saluted. Families held hands, whispering prayers not of fear but of pride. On a hill outside New Geneva, General Marcus Venn stood alone, watching the sky. His uniform was old, his hands trembling, but his eyes were bright. "Fly well," he said quietly. "You carry all of us." The countdown echoed across every channel. 5, 4 and 3. Ward took a slow breath. "Engage main drives. 2, 1. The void exploded with light. Engines ignited with a thunder that could be heard even from Earth's orbit. Trails of fire and brilliance cut across the stars as the human fleet surged forward. Faster, stronger, freer than ever before. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity left its cradle not in desperation, but in hope. As the fleet passed Mars, Ward's mind was flooded with memories. The war, the cries of dying worlds, the faces of those who sacrificed everything. He saw Commander Unisol, the ghost of Erebus, smiling faintly in his thoughts. "You made it, Captain." Her voice echoed softly in his mind. "We all did," he whispered back. Lena noticed his distant expression. "You still hear them, don't you?" He nodded. "They were never gone. They became part of us when part of the stars." She looked out the viewport where countless lights stretched into infinity. "Then maybe the stars remember us too." Days turned into weeks as the fleet journeyed deeper into the unknown. They passed old wreckage from forgotten wars, ruins of alien empires swallowed by time. Each world they scanned told a story of arrogance, power, and extinction. Ward studied them silently, his heart heavy. "So many civilizations reached for the stars," he said, "but few remembered why." Lena looked at him. "And why do we?" He turned toward her, his voice steady. "Because we fight for more than survival. We fight to protect what we love." That's what they never understood. The fleet continued to move, graceful and determined, a stream of light cutting across darkness. Humanity was no longer a frightened species hiding on one blue world. They were explorers, builders, dreamers, and warriors when they had to be. Then one day their sensors picked up something massive, far beyond the edge of the solar system. A structure half the size of a moon, built from black crystal and metal, drifting silently. Ward's eyes narrowed. "Unknown contact. Bring us closer." As they approached, markings appeared on the surface, symbols identical to those found on the alien ships that once invaded Earth. Lena's heart raced. "It's them." Ward stood still for a long moment, then said quietly, "No, it's what's left of them." The structure opened like a flower, revealing hundreds of lifeless ships floating around it, broken, silent, and cold. The invaders who once brought terror to Earth were gone, their empire dust among the stars. Lena stared in awe. "They're extinct," Ward nodded slowly. "Time catches everyone. Even monsters." He turned to his crew. "Record everything, and then let's move on. The past doesn't need our anger anymore." Later, as the fleet drifted beyond Pluto, Ward stood alone at the observation deck. Below him, the Milky Way stretched endlessly, a river of light and promise. Lena joined him, smiling softly. "Do you think we'll ever find them? The ones who built the first fleet?" Ward looked into the infinite dark. "Maybe," he said. "But even if we don't, their legacy already lives in us. Every child who dreams of the stars carries their light forward." She nodded. "Then humanity will never fade." He smiled, his voice calm and full of pride. "No. Humanity doesn't fade. It becomes legend." Back on Earth, the people watched their fleet vanish into the night sky, a constellation of their own making. And as the stars glimmered brighter than ever before, an ancient truth echoed across every heart. When humans rise, the galaxy remembers. And somewhere far beyond the edge of known space, the first human fleet, long gone, seemed to whisper through the void, "Welcome home."